One of the most jaw-dropping truths in all of biology is sitting inside every single cell of your body right now, and most people go their entire lives without ever truly grasping what it means for their health after 40. Your mitochondria are not part of you. They never were. They are ancient alien organisms, prehistoric bacteria that your ancestral cells captured approximately 1.5 billion years ago and have been holding hostage ever since. And after 40, the terms of that ancient deal begin to break down in ways that drive some of the most significant health declines modern medicine struggles to address. The scientific framework explaining this is called the Endosymbiotic Theory, one of the most revolutionary and well-supported ideas in the history of biology. It was pioneered by biologist Lynn Margulis in the 1960s and has since been confirmed by every major line of genetic and molecular evidence available. The theory explains the origin of the complex cells that make up every plant, animal, and fungus on Earth, including every cell in your body. Approximately 1.5 billion years ago, the Earth's atmosphere was undergoing a dramatic transformation. Oxygen, which early life had produced as a metabolic waste product, was accumulating in the atmosphere and becoming a dominant chemical force. Primitive cells that had evolved in an oxygen-poor environment were being challenged to adapt or face extinction. Some of the bacteria thriving in this new oxygen-rich environment had evolved a remarkable capability, the ability to use oxygen to generate energy. Through a process of aerobic respiration that was dramatically more efficient than anything anaerobic cells could produce. An ancient ancestral cell, likely a large anaerobic archaean, engulfed one of these oxygen-breathing bacteria. Under normal circumstances, the engulfed bacterium would have been digested. But something different happened. The bacterial prisoner survived inside its host. And rather than being destroyed, it entered into what evolutionary biologists describe as an endosymbiotic relationship, a partnership of mutual benefit where two organisms live inside one another for shared advantage. The host cell provided the engulfed bacterium with a stable protected environment and a steady supply of glucose fuel. The bacterial prisoner in return provided something the host cell had never had access to, an extraordinary leap in energy production capacity. The aerobic bacteria could generate ADP from glucose at rates that made the host cell's previous energy production look primitive by comparison. The host became more powerful. The prisoner gained security. And the deal held. Over hundreds of millions of years, the bacterial prisoner became so integrated into its host that it lost the ability to survive independently. It outsourced most of its genetic code to the host cell nucleus. It became structurally modified to optimize its energy production role. And it multiplied within cells to create the dense mitochondrial networks that power every energetically demanding biological process in your body. But it retained its own separate circular DNA, a relic of its bacterial origins that is structurally identical to bacterial chromosomes and completely distinct from your nuclear DNA. Your mitochondria are genetically ancient bacteria. The alien prisoners became the power grid. This evolutionary history has profound and direct implications for what happens to your body after 40. The relationship between your cells and their mitochondrial residents is not passive or automatic. It requires active biological management, specific metabolic signals that maintain the terms of the ancient deal and keep the mitochondria functioning as productive energy producers rather than reverting to the stress survival behaviors of their bacterial ancestors. The signals that maintain this relationship come from specific physiological inputs, particular types of physical activity, dietary compounds, and molecular regulators that activate the genetic pathways controlling mitochondrial behavior. Zone 2 cardiovascular training is one of the most powerful. It activates the calcium AMPK signaling cascade that tells mitochondria to fuse into elongated efficient networks and ramp up ADP production. High-intensity interval training provides complementary signals that stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, the replication of mitochondria to increase their numbers and density. After 40, the sensitivity of mitochondria to these management signals progressively declines. The cellular receptors that translate exercise signals into mitochondrial behavior responses become less responsive. The molecular pathways connecting physical activity to mitochondrial renewal operate at reduced efficiency. And without the strong management signals that kept the bacterial roommates productive, the mitochondria begin exhibiting the behaviors that characterize biological stress in their ancient bacterial predecessors. They fragment, breaking from the elongated productive networks that characterize healthy mitochondrial function, into small isolated units that produce ADP inefficiently and generate excessive reactive oxygen species as a byproduct. Their membrane integrity degrades, the cardiolipin-rich inner membranes that maintain the electron transport chain configuration become oxidatively damaged. ATP output falls. Cellular energy deficits emerge in the tissues that depend most heavily on mitochondrial production: muscles, brain, liver, and heart. And the oxidative stress generated by fragmented, inefficient mitochondria drives the systemic inflammation that underlies the most significant health declines associated with aging. In evolutionary terms, your ancient bacterial roommates are reverting to survival mode when the management signals that kept them productive weaken. The ancient deal is breaking down. And the power grid failure that follows is what most people experience as the energy collapse of middle age. The molecular management tools that matter most for maintaining mitochondrial function after 40 target two specific needs. First, fuel, keeping the electron transport chain inside these ancient bacterial powerhouses supplied with the electron carriers required for efficient forward energy production. CoQ10 is the critical electron carrier operating between complexes I and III of the electron transport chain. When CoQ10 availability drops inside the inner mitochondrial membrane, electrons stall, and reverse electron transport begins, the backward flow that blows the cellular fuse and generates the MROS surge that damages everything downstream. Adequate CoQ10 keeps the ancient machinery running forward. Second, replication, stimulating the mitochondria to reproduce and expand their networks rather than fragmenting and declining. PQQ activates the PGC1 alpha pathway, the master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis, triggering the ancient bacterial prisoners to replicate and generate fresh new mitochondrial units with intact membranes and full energy production capacity. New mitochondria are not carrying the oxidative damage of their aging predecessors. They respond correctly to management signals. They fuse into productive networks. They produce ADP efficiently. And they restore the energy baseline that keeping the ancient deal productive requires. Mitolyn combines CoQ10 and PQQ in one formula built around this ancient biological management principle. Feed the roommates. Keep the deal intact. And reclaim the energy that your mitochondrial ancestors have been producing for 1.5 billion years. I want to be fully transparent with you. The link in my description is an affiliate link. I might earn a small commission at no extra cost to you. I only share what I genuinely think is helpful. Feed the roommates and reclaim your vitality. Check the link in my description for the 2026 Mitolyn Cellular Hostage Protocol. And if you want cutting-edge cellular health content every single day, hit subscribe. We post every morning. This video is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making changes to your diet or lifestyle.